Hey, what's up, wine rookies? Welcome back to another Wine Rookie tasting. On today's episode, we are trying a wine that was discovered in a small garden in the mid to late 1800s in France that went under the name de Riff. Now, this wine is grown in small quantities elsewhere in the world now, and mostly here in California. This is a Petite Sirah. On today's episode, we are trying a young 2022 vintage Petite Sirah that was aged in stainless steel barrels with the addition of French oak staves. It's 87% Petite Sirah and 13% Cabernet. Whoa, Paul, I thought you said that this was a Petite Sirah. Why is there Cabernet Sauvignon in my wine? Well, in the United States, it only requires 75% of the name varietal to actually be in the wine to be called that particular varietal. So that's why there's Cabernet Sauvignon in our wine. And typically, it's the other way around. We see a lot of Petite Sirah being added to Cabernets to add body, and another wine that it's added to in quantities, small quantities, is Zinfandel. So today's is the 2022 vintage Trader Joe's Reserve Petite Sirah out of Paso Robles. Now, guys, there's no need to wonder if this wine is any good, because we're going to open it up and try it for ourselves. But first, B-roll. All right, everybody, we have our Petite Sirah poured out, and we're going to go ahead and take a closer look. First, we're going to look at the color. So we grab our white sheet of paper, we look directly over, straight down the stem, and you'll notice that this is a deep purple color, absolutely brilliant in the glass. There's no variation of color between the core and the rim. It's just a beautiful purple. There's a nice shimmer on the wine, which shows that the wine is healthy and has a nice acidity to it. And then some of these wine tiers coming down are super thick. I don't know if you can see that. So Paso Robles is known for having really warm days and cool nights. Sometimes the temperature swing can be 30 degrees, and that's going to create these really rich, sweet grapes that all gets fermented into alcohol for us. So 14.1%, that's going to really help with the texture in the body and hopefully be really fruit forward. We're going to go ahead and take a closer look at the bouquet of this wine, the aromas. Again, this was aged on oak staves and not in oak barrels. So stainless steel tanks and oak staves, they're just, unlike oak barrels, you don't get constant introduction of oxygen. There's technically unlimited aging potential in a barrel, but with the oak staves, they eventually run out of oxygen. Think of it as like a stick in the pond. It starts off floating. Eventually, there's no oxygen left, and the stick has no more ability to float. There's no more introduction of new flavor into the wine. So it's about 6 to 8 months of aging potential with staves. So don't see much potential for oak on this wine, especially with Petite Sirahs. They tend to be so fruit forward, but let's find out. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and coat the inside of the glass with the wine. The alcohol is going to evaporate, and that's what we're going to assess as flavor compounds. So here we go. Well, there is some oak there. I get some cinnamon and nutmeg, but it's minute amounts, but copious fruit forwardness to it. I get blueberries and blackberry jam, black currants, and there's a little bit of menthol in this wine. This nice, like, herbaceousness. It kind of balances out that fruit a little bit, and maybe a tinge of black pepper. And now we're going to find out what this wine tastes like. So the Trader Joe's Reserve bottles all sell for $9.99. We're going to figure out if this is worth it. Here we go. First thing you notice is the amount of tannins in this wine. Pretty typical of Petite Sirah. I'd say this is a medium plus tannin wines. Those tannins are plush and they're nice on your palate. They kind of just glide over your tongue. The acidity balances that out. It's a medium acidity. And so that immediately starts making my mouth water and counteracting these nice, really polished, plush tannins. The body, I'd say medium plus body here. Pretty typical, again, of a Petite Sirah, especially from this climate where we end up with higher ABV and these just really rich grapes. Overall, I'd say this is a dry wine, but it's very fruit forward. So don't get that confused. A lot of people think that very fruity wines are sweet. No, it's got fruit intensity, but it's a dry wine here. And then overall, I'd say this for $9.99. I might buy a couple bottles of these. Might have some decent aging potential, and over the next 2 to 3 years, maybe enhance some of those qualities. Those tannins might become a little more refined, and I don't know. This could be a really great food pairing wine. Let's go over some of those tasting notes, and then we'll go over what we'd pair it with. So again, enhances those fruity qualities. I said it's very fruity. I get more dried blueberries on the palate, and again, the boysenberry blackberry jam. The black pepper is still reflected on the palate, but those the menthol kind of disappears. It's more on the nose and less in the palate. And there's not a lot, but there's a tiny bit of baking spices going on there. Kind of hard to identify. It's just there in the background. It's a medium finished wine, so it doesn't last a very long time, which is pretty typical of Petite Sirahs. Again, it's used to add body to some grapes. You can see it in some Cabernet Sauvignon blends. And it adds some of that mid palate to those wines, where they typically have a very long finish. And so this one doesn't have that long finish here. It kind of stops abruptly after about 30 to 45 seconds. It kind of just disappears. And you know what? I think this is going to go really well with some Chipotle, probably just like a Chipotle grilled chicken, or if you want to do pork or beef, I think it'll be fine with that too. It's going to hold up great. And then tempeh if you don't eat meat. On a cheese board, I would do an aged Gouda. I think that acidity and the fruit forwardness of this wine is going to pair well with that cheese. Guys, if you liked the video and you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. It's how you're going to check more Wine Rookie tastings out in the future. They're going to just go straight to your feed. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time for another Wine Rookie tasting. Cheers, everybody.